How do we start the show? Hello out there, Morrison fans. Troy to the Max Extreme here.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
And together, exponentially, we are Imperius Rex.
Oh my god, we just go on forever and ever.
That's right. We are continuing on our Grant Morrison run of Batman.
And Troy, if I can say so, I've been looking forward to reading this with you for quite some time.
Okay.
I remember years ago.
About it at night?
I do. It kept me up at night. I read his Batman run like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was trying to force it on you. And
Right.
you were like, Dave.
That sounds like me.
Yep. I don't want your Morrison agenda. Keep it off.
Yeah.
Because you weren't a big fan of Rest in Peace, if I remember correctly.
No, when I first read it, I had no context to what was going on, and I had no idea why a person would act the way a person does in this.
Don't spoil anything.
Was I vague enough? I could go back and do it again.
And then paired with Final Crisis, which all this stuff taken out of context.
Yeah.
You know, they promoted R.I.P. out the wazoo.
Oh, yeah.
But if you haven't read the precursor to that, what the fuck?
That's exactly right.
So we've done our due diligence.
Yeah.
We've kicked off the month with some Ra's al Ghul backstory, some Talia al Ghul, probably more than we needed. But we're doing this justice.
That's right.
So we're going through the whole thing, and eventually we will conclude the Morrison Batman epic at a later date. But right now, we're going to wind down our chunk right now, covering Batman Rest in Peace.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Welcome back to Imperius Rex, where we're taking a look at Grant Morrison's Batman run. We left off last time with the introduction of the Club of Heroes and the villainous The Black Glove.
Yes.
But before we can follow up on that, we have to take a brief intermission to dive into a weird crossover that happened in the midst of Grant Morrison's run here, as they do.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, of course, the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul.
Yes.
Crossover event spanning 4 Batman titles featuring a variety of writers and artists and ultimately culminating in nothing more than Ra's is back. Again. It's worth noting that this is where Tony Daniels picks up the reins on the Batman run, and he does, I think, 2 issues that are written by Grant Morrison. Paul Dini also pitches in here. So you look at this right there. You look at it.
I'm looking at it.
Well, let them look at it.
Here you go.
You're like, hey, Morrison, Dini, this looks good. It's not. It's not good.
Oh, boy.
Whole thing, bit of a slog, as we're known to say around Ra's al Ghul episodes.
I was actually asking you about it before we started, or as we were reading, too, because with those 2 issues included in the omnibus, I was like, I kind of want to... I feel like I need more from this angle of what they're coming.
You don't.
And you're like, no, no, you really don't.
In the Grant Morrison Omnibus, it collects all the Morrison stuff, so it doesn't feature the other sections of this.
Right.
Doesn't matter. This whole event, shit. They do have a one-page explanation of what happens around his issues, and that gave me more information than I got out of reading the actual thing. It's just not great. But to sum it up real quickly before we can move on to better things, basically all you need to know is that Ra's al Ghul's spirit has been resurrected because his body was burned to a crisp at the end of Death and the Maidens.
Yeah.
And he has been hopping bodies until he can be reborn in the body of his grandson, Damian Wayne. So Damian comes to the Bat family for help, and eventually they all kind of get together, and there's a big showdown with Ra's at Nanda Parbat. I think our last time in Nanda Parbat.
Okay.
There is one genuinely great moment that I really enjoyed, and it's in Morrison's issue here.
Okay.
Where Batman fights just this old ancient wise one. Your stereotypical Fu Manchu guy.
Yeah.
And the guy just Steven Seagal's Batman to pieces.
Yeah. He kicks the shit out of Batman easily.
Oh my lord, in no time at all.
God.
Just breaks every bone in his arm.
Yeah.
And then impales him with his wooden walking stick.
Right.
And this whole time, Batman just keeps getting up, shrugging it off, and he's basically saying I just have to wait him out. Typical Batman, he just has to persevere for 2 minutes or something like that. And then I don't remember what happens, but he's got 2 minutes and he's good.
Right.
So he just gets bones broken for 2 minutes, and then he's able to defeat this guy.
Right.
And eventually Batman gets dumped into a pit. I think in Nanda Parbat there's a fountain of life or a fountain of youth.
And it goes with isn't it the cleanliness of your soul or something? Because they both fall in it. And the Fu Manchu guy burns.
Yes.
And then Batman is all put back together just fine.
I feel great. But then eventually this Fu Manchu guy, who we learn is Ra's al Ghul's father.
Yeah.
But then he's dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I thought that was unnecessary.
Yeah. Eventually, Ra's al Ghul gets reincarnated in his son's body. So he has a son.
But not Damian.
That's his grandson.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
He has a son who they call White Ghost.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's reborn in White Ghost's body.
Yeah.
And he somehow just looks like regular Ra's al Ghul then.
Yeah.
And then they sword fight, as they do.
Right.
And then it's over.
Right.
Because the monks or the goddess or whatever of Nanda Parbat just kicks him out. It's closing time.
Can't stay here.
Can't stay here. And that is it. That is the big epic climax of the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul.
There you go.
Yep. And it really doesn't pay off in Morrison's run at all. So if you really feel like you're a completionist and you have to read this like myself, I own it. So if I'm not going to read it right now, I'm never going to read this. So I read it, and the 2 pages that sum it up in the omnibus is more than enough. You don't need to read it.
Okay.
It is a mess.
Okay.
So with that out of the way, let's go on to something good.
Okay.
So we come back to Morrison's Batman with the storyline entitled Space Medicine. I love it.
In the table of contents, when I saw that was a title, I'm like, oh, I'm in! I'm 100% in on Space Medicine.
This is the first chronological appearance of the third ghost of Batman.
Okay.
Because he first appeared in Damian Wayne's futuristic story in Batman 666. But in this, he attacks Gotham PD.
Yep.
And he's just like a belligerent maniac.
Yeah.
Screaming about who knows what.
Right.
Talking about commissioners that don't exist yet. Who knows?
Who knows?
He's roasting them with a flamethrower.
Yep.
Batman comes to the rescue, and this guy, this third ghost, I don't know if they ever call him anything. I think they call him the Antichrist.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
We'll call him the Antichrist. He shoots Batman point blank with an exploding round.
Yeah.
And stops his heart.
Yeah.
And Batman essentially dies.
Yep.
well before Rest in Peace.
Yeah.
So this issue ends with the first full reveal of the phrase Zur-En-Arr. As Batman flatlines, and it gives us a full splash page of Bat-Mite.
Yeah. So, my question is Bat-Mite the same thing as Mr. Spitalik?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember if they're both imps from, like, the 5th dimension, because I thought they said, later on, that he said the imagination is the 5th dimension.
Spoiler. I was hoping to build to that.
We got it if you want.
So what'd you think of Bat-Mite?
I, in this instance, am okay with it.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, I feel...
No, as a person, how do you feel about him?
I don't know if he'd be the greatest
What do you think
guy.
of his morals?
Because I always, instead of going to Mr. Mxyzptlk, or whatever you say, I always go to the Flintstones, where it's a little green Martian floating above Fred Flintstone.
They're all the
awful.
same, man.
And so, like, I always reference that first. Actually, I always reference first that one time there's one episode of The Simpsons.
Yes!
where it happens.
That's what I was going to say.
And then I go to Flintstones, and then I go to this.
Got it. You backtrack.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think it's fun. I think it's fine.
But can you imagine, as a reader, month to month, getting to that, you turn the page, and there's this big fucking Bat-Mite? And I think he says something like, ooh, we're in trouble, or something like that. You're like, huh? What?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
The following issue, I feel, is a thing of beauty.
Okay.
This one is flashing back and forth in time from Batman undergoing the Thogel ritual in Nanda Parbat.
Right.
I was wrong. We go back to it. It's a flashback, so chronologically it's a whole thing. Where he locked himself in a cave for 7 weeks to experience and conquer his fear of death.
Yeah.
And it also flashes back to a time in his past when he underwent a sensory deprivation experiment hosted by the mysterious Dr. Hurt himself.
Right.
In an effort to experience and understand the Joker's madness.
Yeah. Is that an actual pull from a previous issue long since forgotten?
I don't...
Because
you know what? There's something similar to it in that, like, collected Black Case book. And I think Dr. Hurt is referenced in it, but he looks different.
Okay.
But I don't really know. I think.
What I would love the great Morrison do, because he pulls from past continuity a lot, is like to have like an Ed Piskor table of references in the back of the book, so you can go back and find those issues to see where it sprung from.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Like the Black Case book here, which I have
lost
somewhere. It's gone. So we've mentioned this a couple times, and Batman flat out mentions his Black Case book. But this is a collection published by DC. It's the Black Case book, the stories that inspired Batman Rest in Peace. And boy, do they ever. The Club of Heroes is in this.
Yep.
We've got the Bat Radia.
Okay.
Here from Zur-En-Arr.
Yeah.
Yep. So all of these adventures that basically Batman just can't classify. He's
put in his like mysterious little case book.
Yes.
Yeah. So come back to later.
Yeah. Yep. And in this, they give an explanation. They say that like he's been doused by so many Joker toxins and like Scarecrow fear gas. He doesn't know what to make of his like. Of his early 20s. So he's just recorded them all like detective fiction prose style in this Black Case book because Alfred likes that type of prose. And Alfred is like transcribing it in the Bat computer, so he's written it that way to entertain Alfred.
Right.
And a lot of the things that happen in this are in this.
Okay.
There's probably more, but if you want like a further deep dive into these weird tales, pick this up.
As like
it's okay.
As like a piggyback onto that, like I always bring this up when we do a Morrison book, but like I feel like that is one of his I don't know, weaknesses isn't the right word, but like he pulls from stuff here or there where sometimes it feels like you need to be in on the know. Like they'll make references to something and they'll just go on with it and be like, but I don't know what to take from this. Why are you bringing this up? I mean, it obviously pays off down the line.
Yeah.
But then, like, I would like to see the reference point of why you're even bringing this up, because sometimes you just go in blind and you're like, I don't know what he's talking about right now.
Right.
And
or
that
you
happens...
just think it's bad writing.
Yeah, because, like, with R.I.P. and Final Crisis, there's, like, all these supplementary issues that have come out after they came out that fill in the story, which I'm like, I feel like if you wrote the story correctly, you wouldn't have to have these
shots
in there.
Fired.
I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have to have exponential amount of supplementary material to understand your work.
No. I mean, I've said it many times. Like, when I do a Grant Morrison thing, I do my homework. That's why we have the Anatomy of Zur-En-Rar here by C. Quartz. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Cody Walker. Pick it up if you want a further exploration into Morrison's Batman.
Tangent aside.
Yeah, we're getting off track here. So Batman went through, like, two experiences in a dark room, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
In this weird thing in Nanda Parbat, and then, like, a sensory deprivation tank with Dr. Hurt.
Yeah.
The two events kind of, like, mesh into each other over this issue. Along with recounting Batman confronting Joe Chill himself.
Yeah.
And prompting him to commit suicide after learning that he's responsible for creating Batman.
Yeah.
I think this issue was called Joe Chill in Hell.
Oh, yeah, okay. It was weird, because, like, I would be fine, like, never having Joe Chill after he, like, kills his parents ever show up again.
Morrison kills him in this.
Mm-hmm.
If it's canon, it's all canon. It's all canon. But I love this one. Mm-hmm. It opens with Batman in this weird Batcopter,
right.
And I think it says, "This is normal."
Yeah.
For like just an insight into like the carefree days of old, where he's just patrolling around Gotham in this weird bat-faced chopper.
Early bird.
Yes. Yeah, and he's kind of getting his dark, gritty voice on. He's like laughing and just picking on Joe Chill. He's just bullying him into killing himself, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And then you mesh that with his weird experiences here, and it all kind of comes to an head where Batman wakes up and he's in like a torture chair, and the Antichrist Batman is there just drilling into him and just messing him up.
Sick shit.
Yes. And this is where we get like a real explanation on Dr. Hurt.
Yeah.
Because the three ghosts of Batman were essentially policemen that underwent a experiment to create more Batman. Yeah. Because they've realized Batman is essential to the survival of Gotham.
Right. And he can't stick around forever.
Right. So they want to recreate whatever happened to Batman to make more of them. Yeah. So they, like, put these guys through this strenuous test. One of them they pump full of venom. Yeah. One of them they just give a gun to.
Which is a policeman he should have already had.
Exactly.
Standard issue. Yeah. Here's a bigger gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they realize on this third guy, the third ghost, that they need to push it a little bit more because Batman is created through trauma. Yeah. So they kill this guy's family and say it was Satanists that did it just to push him like to the brink of madness and give him that bat-fueled tragedy to let him go on this crusade. Yeah. And this whole time, this Antichrist Batman is spouting, like, the devil made me. Yeah. The devil made me do it. Right, I was created by Satan. Right. And it's around here where you're like, they've kind of said this, but do they mean the literal devil?
I wasn't sure. Like, I thought he was just kind of like a crazy asshole. So, like, I don't think... Because no other real supernatural events occur because of this.
No. But they reference Dr. Hurt as the devil many times in this. To the point where you're like, is it really the devil? Like, is Batman fighting the devil in this?
Yes, Dave.
I think he is. I think he is. This is also where we learn that Dr. Hurt, maybe the devil, he planted some post-hypnotic keywords into Batman's subconscious when he volunteered for that isolation chamber experiment.
Yeah.
And those keywords,
yeah,
none other, Zur-En-Arrh. So the many Zur-En-Arrhs scattered throughout the book have all been left in an attempt to weaken Batman, leading to the destruction of his very mind. So Batman, being Batman, is able to escape.
Yeah.
Always prepared.
Right.
Is this where that Batman is always prepared came from? You know, like that, it's not a meme, but like that saying that Batman can defeat anybody as long as he has time to prepare. Is that Morrison's run?
I don't know if it was, because I thought it was way well before this. Where,
well, he's on brand then.
Maybe it was his, like, Tower of Babel.
Could be, his JLA run.
Yeah.
So Morrison influenced.
Well,
anyway.
I guess you're right.
The Bat God.
Right.
Batman escapes. All that training, baby, gets him.
Oh, yeah, baby.
He's able to, like, slip his arm out of the cuffs, but keep like his gloved form in there. So when the Antichrist chops his hand off, Batman's like,
nope, idiot! My one superpower, fake arm.
So Batman escapes, but so does the third ghost, and he leaves a clue, a glove.
Yeah,
a black glove.
A black fucking glove.
So Batman mentions that he's trained for every eventuality, and he says, if my hypothetical ultimate enemy can be imagined, I can't help considering the possibility that he actually exists.
Some heavy shit, Dave.
It is. It's kind of hard to read. I mixed this one pretty strong. We've got some show notes here. And then we also see a return to a conversation that he had with Gordon at the beginning of the book, where Gordon asks him, why'd you choose an enemy that's as old as time and bigger than all of us? And Batman responds, same reason you did, Jim. I thought I could take him. This isn't over.
Real big tough guy, Batman.
He is.
Yeah.
And we assume he's, like, talking about crime.
I would, as like a whole, I would assume so.
But maybe the devil?
Oh my, you're on your devil kick again. All right.
This is a very devil-heavy run. Did you not get the devil in this?
I didn't really finger bang the devil so much in this.
You didn't finger through the anatomy of Zur-En-Arrh.
I guess not. I guess not.
All right. So with this, we move on to R.I.P.
Yeah.
A very divisive book that promised the death of Batman, only to deliver it very shortly after the conclusion in the pages of Morrison's other title, Final Crisis.
Yeah.
In an issue prior to this, leading up, Batman and Jezebel Jet, still an item.
Yeah.
They're having dinner and they're attacked by an assassin, a member of the Ten-Eyed Tribe.
Yeah.
Strangely enough.
Yeah.
And Batman's identity is revealed to her.
Right.
So that's out there.
Right. It's out in the open. But to Jezebel Jet's almost, I guess, relief, she's glad that she knows now, because now she's put all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Like, oh! That makes sense now!
The skydiving accident! Ah! So R.I.P. opens with a splash page of Batman and Robin springing into action.
That's right.
And shouting, Batman and Robin will never die.
Right.
And then it flashes back 6 months, and we get this weird Quasimodo guy shuffling off to this secluded mansion where he comes across the Black Glove.
Right.
Or the League of Villains, or the Five Fingers. Yeah. They have like 3 names.
Yeah, I know.
They're like the antithesis of the Club of Heroes.
Right. Yeah.
And these ne'er-do-wells are led by Dr. Hurt himself in his first, like, full introduction.
Right. He's out and about now.
And he's posing as Thomas Wayne?
Yeah, I found it really weird that he was doing that, but I guess it pays off? I don't know.
This was something he did in an effort to tarnish the Wayne family name.
Yeah.
And they say this, like, almost as like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Where I felt like maybe they covered it more in a different book, but I don't think they did. This was the main Batman title. I don't know what else they would have done.
Yeah.
But that part I felt like could have used a little bit more.
Yeah. And he
doesn't have the mustache. Doesn't Thomas Wayne have a mustache?
He always has a mustache, Dave.
Not in this.
Well, he's not really Thomas Wayne.
Case in point. So this kind of kicks off with Batman having a meeting with the Joker in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Which seems a little out of character, but I like to think that Batman and Joker kind of balance each other out.
Right.
And when Batman's, like, stumped, he's like,
what do you think about this, Joker?
Let's see what Joker says. Yeah. And Joker basically just tells him, like, there's people gunning for you. Like, you need to watch yourself.
Right.
And Batman's typical Batman, like, bring it on.
Right. But you kind of get hints of that leading up to this, that there's, like, people just chipping away at him here or there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now we're into the end game here. So, Batman is in his Bat Cave with his Bat girlfriend, Jezebel Jet.
Right.
And he's losing it.
Right.
At this point, he's like, what if I imagine the black glove? What if you know, this and this and this and that?
Yeah.
And she, like, says, like, Bruce, you ever think maybe you just snapped? like, you've been through a lot. Maybe you created this puzzle that you couldn't solve in an effort to, like, rid yourself of Batman.
Right.
And she has a great line where she says, like, who would hate Batman more than a little boy whose life was sacrificed so that Batman could live? And then, like, all of a sudden his Bat computer gets hacked.
Right.
And we get this weird demonic mask that pops up.
Right.
And he's like, what do you see? What do you see? And she's like, it's nothing. It's just a
static.
Just static that says, like, Zur-En-R. She's like, what? What is that? What is Zur-En-R? So the Zur-En-R is a trigger word, which Dr. Hurt has placed in Batman's mind way back in the isolation chamber to, like, knock him out. Put him out of commission. Then all of his goons take over the cave, and they just dump this mentally destroyed Bruce Wayne in an alley, and he's convinced that he's like a junkie. However, Batman always has a plan. Over the course of a day, he pieces himself back together with the help of a backup personality he created years ago in the event that he was brainwashed, thus introducing readers to the Batman of Zur-En-R. Troy,
I've Zur-En-R'd myself.
The Troy Potter of Zur-En-R.
That's right.
I think Morrison's Batman broke him. And he has, luckily, instilled a backup personality for which to continue on with our Morrison Bat run.
That's right.
That's right. So the Batman of Zur-En-R is what you get when you take Bruce Wayne out of the equation. He's the purest form of Batman because he's devoid of Bruce Wayne's personality.
Yeah. Yeah!
And accompanied by Bat-Mite, his own personal Jiminy Cricket. Bat-Mite, of course, magical imp from the fifth dimension.
Right.
He proceeds onward on his quest to right wrongs and stop the villainous Dr. Hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So Bat-Mite tells him, something happened long ago. Call it a miracle on Crime Alley. From the sad graveyard ashes of a little boy's worst nightmare, something unforeseen arose, didn't it? He carries a bat, a literal Batman, dressed in gaudy colored trash, and within his hands holds the Bat Radia.
Breaker.
Which is just a junky AM/FM radio.
Right.
That he thinks is like some sort of lie detector device from the fifth dimension.
Right.
It's great.
It's pretty great. I came to really like it into this reading, I'll tell you what. I really feel like I embraced what he had to give.
I can sense that. I feel like it's radiating off you. So there's a part where he's overlooking the city, and he says he sees it like as a patchwork of grids, like blueprints.
Right.
a machine designed to make Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think it was weird that Dr. Hurt wears a bat costume?
Well, he does that whole Thomas Wayne, I'm gonna be Thomas Wayne, I'm gonna steal this Thomas Wayne bat suit.
Yeah. And that's it's a throwback to this issue where
Right.
Thomas Wayne was at like this masquerade and he dressed in this bat suit and
Right.
stopped a crime.
Right.
So he was technically like the first Batman.
Right.
So that's what that is pulling to. And he
Right.
like knocked it out of Batman's glass case where he
Right.
keeps all his Robin, his decrepit Robin uniforms that little boys have died in.
Right.
And wore it. And yeah, he keeps on with the Thomas Wayne persona. He's
Yeah.
keeping up that ruse.
Yeah, he does that throughout the rest
No one's
of the...
biting Dr. Hurt.
You're no Thomas Wayne, you goon!
You don't even have a mustache. So Dr. Hurt pulls all of the Black Glove together
Yep.
for a meeting at Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
Seems only appropriate.
Yep.
Releases the Joker.
Yep.
And they're just waiting for that final chess piece to fall in line there.
Yep.
Batman arrives at Arkham after just shaking down a lot of his goons
Right.
out there.
Yep.
And the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is brutal.
Oh, yeah. He's no holds barred. He tears through that Joker knockoff real easily.
Oh,
and along with Joker's escape, there's that gargoyle type fella, that hunchback guy.
Yeah.
So he's masquerading also as a doctor in
Yeah.
the Arkham Asylum as well.
He's a doctor masquerading as a hunchback.
Whichever one it is.
Who wants what? Is black white? Is up down? Who knows?
Turns out he's still not a great fella.
No, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. And so Joker gets a hold of him, cuts a swath through his face, makes him... You never really get to see what's wrong with his face.
No, you don't.
But he's horrified by it through the rest of the issues.
Yeah.
Where he's like, even at some panels, sewing his face back together. You can only assume he got the Joker smile cut across through him.
It's essentially Joker being like, you think you're bad? I'll show you bad.
Right. And this was like the one downfall of the Black Glove. They got like too big for their britches and were like, we're going to use Joker as our pawn.
Wild card, bitches. You don't know. You don't go all in on Joker.
You can't do that,
You
first
can't
of all.
control him.
Joker comes back from cutting up old Gargoyle Boy. And he's like, I'm not going to be a pawn in your game, brother. And I'm just going to fuck your shit up real bad.
Pretty much.
And to the Thomas Wayne impersonator...
Dr. Hurt.
He still, like, holds strong. And he's like, no, this is all a part of the plan. We've got Batman right where we want him.
Right.
Bullshit, brother. Because there's no way that now you knew there was going to be a Batman of this capability, even though you thought you implanted some code word. No, Batman would have done that to himself, right?
It's a bit of a... Batman incorporated the Zur-En-Arrh early on.
Right.
We'll get to it at the end of this episode. But Dr. Hurt used that same trigger word to, like, shut him down.
Right.
But little did he know Batman had a plan with that trigger word already.
Yeah.
So he, like, one-upped him on it, I guess.
Batman's prepared for anything.
Exactly. So Batman enters Arkham Asylum. As he's going in, Bat-Mite is like, I gotta leave you here.
Yeah.
I'm the last fading echo of the voice of reason, Batman, and reason won't fit through that door. And Batman's like, okay, but before you go, are you really an alien hyper-imp from the fifth dimension, or just a figment of my imagination? And this is that great moment where Bat-Mite says, like, imagination is the fifth dimension, idiot. Some great detective you are.
And then...
He's gone.
Off into space or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah,
Morrison,
great.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Batman goes in, does battle with the Joker, who's now a straight razor wielding lunatic who slices his tongue to make it like a forked serpent tongue.
Yeah.
And they fight for a while before Batman finds Jezebel Jet tied up, damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And then, like, a poison gas knocks him out, and we find out Jezebel Jet has been part of the Black Glove all along.
Yeah.
What a bitch.
What a biatch. I actually didn't quite like that reveal, that Jezebel Jet was like...
It seemed a little too contrived.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It worked for the story purposes, but, like, there was really... I would love to have, like, subtle hints along the way that this could have been the case, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to spring it out of nowhere seems like a dime novel type stuff.
Yeah, and we don't get a big payoff with it either.
No.
She's just like, now she's one of the goons.
Yeah.
So Batman's out of commission, and he wakes up buried 6 feet under.
Right.
R.I.P.
That's
in
right.
a straitjacket.
Right.
In a coffin.
Right.
He's done, right?
He's done, Dave.
He's done.
There's no way you can get out of this.
Well, that's the end of our show. But no. He's fine.
He is. Turns out, straitjackets are easy peasy.
That's right. He says, I've escaped from every conceivable death trap. 10 times. 12 times. I can slow my breathing and metabolism to control panic and conserve air. Straitjacket's kindergarten. Locks 2. Bench pressing a pine coffin lid through 600 pounds of loose soil that's filling my mouth, crushing my lungs flat and shredding my dehydrated muscles. That's harder. But far from impossible. Oh,
Just
man.
a tank of Batman. At this point, he's off the Zur-En-Arrh train, too. He's like full straight Batman now.
Yeah. Do you want to take the helmet off?
I might want to.
Oh, you're back.
Hey.
How you doing?
It's so hot and all of that. Not to break the fourth wall. This is deadly to me.
On this show, we break the fourth wall. It's Grant Morrison.
That's
man.
right.
So Batman is back, baby.
Right. In a big way.
Yes. So he confronts the Black Glove, Jezebel Jet, all those, and he chases Dr. Hurt to a helicopter. This is where Hurt starts calling himself the hole in things. The enemy, the piece that can never fit. There since the beginning. So we get another, like, window into his backstory. Is he the devil? I don't know.
To me, it seemed like, okay, so I planted my little seed in Batman long ago. Now I'm just playing the waiting game.
Yeah.
And so he must have thought he had this down.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he can fail. I'm gonna either make or become part of the Black Glove to take this Batman down, because I've already got my fingers in him. I could see his,
he thinks
gravitas.
He's the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Devil.
This is interesting because at this point we also flash back to Bruce emerging from the ritual of Thogel. Thogel.
It's got umlauts, I don't know.
It does. He describes his reasoning for the experience as a way to rid himself of the hole in his mind, waiting to open up and swallow him whole. He says his goal was to taste the flavor of death, to hunt it down, kill, and eat the last traces of fear and doubt in my mind. So it's from this ritual that he is able to grow as a crime fighter and ultimately confront Dr. Hurt, the hole in things, and best him in this scenario. So Batman hops on that helicopter, bashes out the window, and they both go down. Yeah.
And that's, when this initially ends, that's kind of the end. Right here. There is a 2-issue thing that we'll bring up later that kind of like is a epilogue to this, rather. Yeah.
But before the helicopter goes down, Dr. Hurt has one final speech where he curses Batman's cape and cowl, saying that the next time he wears them will be his last, before he seemingly perishes along with Batman in the helicopter crash. And as the chopper goes into the harbor, Batman thinks, in my attempt to see clearly in the deepest dark, in my efforts to go to the still eye of the storm of madness, did I open myself up to some pure source of evil? Did I finally reach the limits of reason and find the devil waiting? He's the devil.
All right, I guess it's the devil.
Batman fights the devil. Head to head. That's what this is all about.
All right. I believe you now. You've convinced me.
I don't know. He might not be the devil.
God damn it!
You kind of won me over on your last diatribe there. In the end there, Nightwing finds Batman's cape and cowl. Talia al Ghul sends her army of man-bats to get revenge on Jezebel Jet.
Yeah, which I love. That was a callback to way earlier in the... Because if you read R.I.P., not knowing his previous run, you're like, what the fuck
are these?
Yeah.
And then we finally flash forward 6 months to the beginning of this arc, right before the remaining Black Glove members are about to be thwarted by Batman and Robin, who can never die.
Right.
And we don't know it yet, but it's Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne.
Right.
Awesome.
Great.
You don't know it by the end of this.
No.
But if you read on, you're like, that was great the next time I read it.
Yeah.
And then in the epilogue is a final coup de grace. We flash back to that fateful night when Bruce and his parents are leaving the Zorro movie right before they're gunned down.
Yeah.
And Bruce asks, why can't I be Zorro? Wouldn't it be great if Zorro was real?
Yeah.
And Thomas Wayne replies, I'm not so sure Gotham City would appreciate a masked man taking the law into his own hands, Bruce.
Right.
The sad thing is, they'd probably throw someone like Zorro in Arkham. And Bruce mishears him and says, what? And we finally get the first glimpse of the word Zur-En-Arr. Right when Joe Chill is stalking the family there.
Yeah.
And Zur-En-Arr is backwards. And I didn't pick this up until I read this book.
Right.
This, The Anatomy of Zur-En-Arr.
Yeah.
Sequard organization. Worth a read for moments like this. Zorro in Arkham. Zur-En-Arr.
Yeah.
It's a moment where Bruce mishears what Thomas Wayne says.
Yeah.
And it sticks with him because of that tragedy. And that is essentially the essence of Batman's persona created there.
Yeah.
Zur-En-Arr, Zorro in Arkham.
Yeah.
So it's this weird trigger word.
Right.
In Morrison magic, right before this traumatic, life-changing event.
Yeah.
That sparks the persona of Zur-En-Arr Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. Heavy shit.
Jesus, Morrison. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well, R.I.P. I didn't like at first read because I read it with no context. I've said that before. But leading up to this now, I loved how all the pieces fit together. But I loved R.I.P. way more than I ever have before.
It's so good. It's just a testament to the will of Batman to survive.
Yeah.
That moment where he just digs himself out of a coffin and just says, like, you know, it's tough, but, like, what have I been doing with my life? Of course I can do this.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Right.
Fucking Batman!
Jesus.
Yeah. It's great. And he overcomes this villain that has spent, like, his entire life plotting to wreck Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman just like, yeah, I can take you.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great. Yeah. For a while, R.I.P. was like, I'm not going to say like a stain on my bookshelf, but like I would never want to go back and read it. But like I'm glad I did with all of this lead up to it. Like it all works together.
So the omnibus concludes with a 2-issue kind of epilogue entitled Last Rites, which ties into Final Crisis. So he goes to fight, he gets captured, and then some of Darkseid's like scientists are mining his mind. Because, like Dr. Hurt, they want to distill the essence of Batman, this ultimate warrior, and create like an army of bat drones that they can control.
Right.
So through this, we get like this encapsulated flashback of everything that makes Batman.
Yes. Everything that builds his like his will, his demeanor, everything.
So it goes from like him being this brooding, depressed dude avenging his parents' death to like this dynamic like father figure to Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And it goes across all their adventures where like, hey, we're having a good time with this.
Yeah.
And as it goes on, it goes through all kinds of different like what if scenarios.
Yeah.
Where they're kind of messing with his memories. And it's like, what if his parents weren't killed? And he just becomes like this kind of like dull socialite.
Yeah.
And what if a bat hadn't broken through his window and he becomes like Snake Man or Mothman?
Right.
And just these weird variations on the theme of Batman.
Right.
Before Batman's subconscious picks up on what's going on.
Right.
And creates like another failsafe where like the goons are blown away and they're like, what is this guy? Someone that can turn his own life memories into weapons?
Yeah.
And all of the drones that they're instilling with the Batman memories start like clawing their eyes out and going nuts because they can't handle like the trauma of being Batman.
Yeah.
Like you can only be Batman if it happens to you over that course of time. But if you're just like distilled
taking it all in,
it just eats you up inside.
Yeah.
It's too much for anyone to handle.
I really like that. I like it was just like one offline from Alfred, and he was like, Alfred wouldn't say that. And then he's just like, he knows he's getting hacked.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So then the Grant Morrison Omnibus ends with Alfred kind of getting the last word, where he reflects on Batman's life, and he says how he used each ordeal, each heartache and failure to become a better man in the service of others. What could I do but stand in humble awe? The whereabouts of Batman remain unknown, and yet I see him now, in the grip of implacable forces, innumerable foes, somewhere without hope, in a place where all seems lost. And I know this, the enemy will look away, for just a moment, underestimating him for that single fraction of a second too long, and no matter how dark the night, there will be no hiding place for evil. And that's it.
Damn.
That is it for the Omnibus. So, after that, Batman remains absent from his own book for quite a while. The Bat family attempts to carry on in his wake, with Dick Grayson eventually taking up the mantle of Batman after a short miniseries, Battle for the Cowl. So there we go.
What a jaunt that one was.
Yeah. What do you think? The first third of Grant Morrison's Batman run.
Yeah. I thought we did it pretty decent justice.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot the first time I read it. On reread, everything's fallen into place, and I'm just astounded at how much work went into this.
Yeah. I like the foresight of Morrison is impeccable. Like it's amazing. But how amazing is it? Let us know down below if your thoughts differ from ours on this Batman run. But until next time, when we got more Batman coming down the pipeline.
That's right. What'd you think of those Alex Ross covers on R.I.P?
They were great.
Oh. Delicious.
They were a scrumptious morsel from the eyes. So join us next time for more Batman. But until next time, I've been Torty the Max Extreme.
And I've been Ghost Hunter Dave.
And this has been Imperius Rex. We'll see ya next time.
So that is where Grant Morrison's Omnibus Volume 1 ends. Batman has been blasted by Darkseid's Omega beams. We presume he's dead. He's actually, in hindsight, been shot through time.
Right.
And that's it. You're wondering, what's next? Well, I don't want to leave it at that, because there's two more issues that I feel are kind of essential in this. And these are collected in this trade, Time and the Batman.
Yeah.
And I believe they're going to be included in the Volume 2 Omnibus.
Okay.
But I think they're more appropriate now.
Yeah. They serve as like two bridging issues between R.I.P. and Final Crisis.
Right. Again, it's a little more in-depth of Batman pulling himself out of the drink.
Right.
And realizing, like, I gotta go fight Darkseid. Yeah.
It shows the aftermath of the helicopter crash at the end of R.I.P., and then he gets back to the Batcave, is like, ugh, Alfred, can I get some soup or whatever? And he's like, sure, and he flips on the TV or the Justice League call or whatever, and there's a crisis right now. You need to come check it out.
A final crisis.
Yeah. It's all in the same day. He ends this R.I.P. business and gets called right away to go check this out. And all the while, he's like, I don't want to down the cape and cowl again, because the next time I do, I'm kaput. I'm donezo.
I'm cursed.
Yeah.
this lunatic said it was no good for me.
So what he does is gets the cape and cowl on,
Right.
and goes to check it out, and then it does jump forward in time into Final Crisis, where it has a countdown to the Omega.
Yes.
Like in 15 seconds, 0.5 seconds or whatever, until his final standoff with Darkseid, where he shoots him with that sweet gun and the radiant bullet.
Yeah, it's his bat grappling hook, right?
Is it?
And
I thought
the
it was
bullet itself is the blueprint of every bullet ever made.
Yeah.
So it loads into anything.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. Because obviously Batman's not a big fan of guns.
Right.
He's like, well, in this case, I'll make an exception.
Yeah.
Darkseid is inhabiting the body of a detective, so Batman even shoots him in a place where it won't kill him.
Yeah.
But it'll wound him and it, like, deteriorate his form enough that Darkseid dies.
Yeah.
And then Darkseid blasts him with the Omega beams and sends him spiraling back through time.
Yeah. Those are those two issues. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And it ends with him waking up in caveman times.
Yeah.
And, like, he's losing his memory. He has no recollection of who he is.
Uh-huh.
But he has, like, his belt. And before everything is lost, he draws a bat symbol on the cave wall.
Right.
And then, like, stands up and he's like, all right, let's get started.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So
it made me really want to read that Batman Through Time trade that's out.
yeah, the Return of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's it. That's where we leave off.
Yeah.